Today on Judge Faith. Exes from Minnesota with differing views on the quality of the relationship battle over money spent while they were dating.
Sarah's an awesome person, a lot of fun, beautiful, outgoing, the person I was looking for.
Looking back over our relationship, Your Honor, this is just not somebody that I want to be with in my life.
You got to get your game a little tighter. They're a little hard to get, you.
And later, Texans asked the court to determine if the purchase of a used vehicle was an unfortunate mistake or the result of a clever con.
She was pointing at the car was smoking.
All vehicles are sold as is, and there's no cooling off period.
Did you have anyone check it out before you purchased it, or you just went off of, okay, it sounds good now?
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor, and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real, and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Chuck Mann says he thought he'd met the love of his life, but his ex had other ideas about the relationship. He's suing for money spent for a vacation. Defendant Sarah Jane Plehall says she doesn't know because Chuck only started asking for the additional money after she broke up with him. She's countersuing for reimbursement for money paid, harassment, and stress.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Mann versus Plehall.
Thank you, Juan. Charles Mann?
Yes.
You were suing the defendant, Sarah Jane Plehall?
Yes.
For $1,019 money you say she owes you for a vacation?
Correct.
And you are countersuing, ma'am, for $1,000, a reimbursement for money you paid for a vacation, $600, and the rest for harassment and stress?
That is correct.
Okay, why don't you give me some background, Mr. Mann? Tell me how you know the defendant.
Sarah and I met on a dating site called Match. And Sarah and I started chatting, and before you know it, we met and we were dating. Sarah's an awesome person, a lot of fun, beautiful, outgoing, the person I was looking for.
Okay.
And
how long did the two of you date?
we dated for 6 or 7 months.
Why did their relationship end? Who broke it off?
I don't know.
She broke it off with you?
Yes.
Okay. What about you, Ms. Plehall? What happened? You met him, you obviously liked him.
Yes, Your Honor. We did meet on Match.com, and we started dating in August 2015. Prior to that, I was in a over 20-year marriage. Okay. My ex-husband had a 7-year affair, left me for an older woman. So with that, you're feeling rejected and hurt, and so I went on the dating site.
Did you know that he was having an affair for 7 years, or you found out, when you found out about the affair, you found out it was 7 years?
I found out on text messages on his phone. He lied. I thought, maybe he was gay. I don't know. I had no clue.
So how long after your divorce did you get on Match.com?
I would say about a year. I met Chuck, and it was great. He was fun. He liked to do things. We seemed to have a lot of things in common.
Okay, so what happened? The two of you went on vacation?
Yeah.
Where did you go?
January, he took me to Las Vegas.
What happened in Vegas?
We were both sick, so he said, let's do a do-over. So that's why we decided to go to Cancun, Mexico.
And that's what you're suing over. You're suing over the cost of this Mexico trip.
Yep. He paid for the trip before, we're a couple, and then it got to be more expensive than he realized. He goes, can you put in any money for this trip? I said, of course. Mm-hmm. So he said, how about $300? And I said, that's perfect.
So you paid $300 for the trip?
And I paid a total of $600. He wanted $300 more. Before
you went on, the agreement was that you would pay $300 towards the trip, right?
He upped it to another $300, so $600 total before the trip.
Okay, is that true, sir?
The $600, yes.
When did the two of you break up?
Right after Mexico.
Right after you got back from Mexico? Why did you break up with him?
I would say like about a month.
Why did you break up with him?
I saw behavior of him in Mexico, and looking back over our relationship, Your Honor, this is just not somebody that I want to be with in my life.
Okay, but what did you say you saw in Mexico? His
anger. He gets upset easy. He's irrational. He talks so much. He doesn't listen. He overtalks everybody. He was rude to the ticket agent for not getting our seat together. We met a couple from Canada who were so nice. Her and I went off, we're gone 15 minutes. It was the night before we left, and he just freaked out that I was gone for 15 minutes, saying I left him, he's all alone, just extremely irrational.
Is that true,
crying.
sir?
She was jealous. She was jealous.
He was crying, real tears.
Yeah, real tears crying. I just said, I'm not signing up
for this.
I'm done.
Were you crying because she went off with somebody else?
No, she was jealous. I was talking to some gals from Canada.
Okay.
Oh, please.
And we were sitting next to each other at the bar, and she said, I was sitting right there. You didn't pay attention to me. You talked to them. How do you think I felt?
Prior to you going on the trip, you agreed that she would pay $600.
Correct.
There was no other discussion of money that she had to pay for more of the trip until after she broke it off with you?
You're correct, Judge, but that had to do with her being my girlfriend. And if we were still together, I would not even question even the $600 that I had her
Okay,
pay.
but you know that's not how contracts work, okay? When you make a contract with someone and you say, okay, the agreement is you pay me $600. You didn't say, this wasn't the conversation that happened. You pay me $600 towards this trip to Mexico, and as long as you're my girlfriend, that's all it's going to cost you.
Right.
However, if you break up with me after Mexico, you got to chip in another $1,000.
I didn't say that.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You didn't say that. After the trip, after the fact, when you're upset that she broke up with you, that's when you change the terms of the agreement. And I'm telling you, that's not the way it works. Why is there a restraining order in this case? Who has a restraining order?
She filed a bogus harassment charge.
Why? Why?
Coming up, the breakup goes from bad to worse.
He would say, if you ever leave me, I'll cut you up in little pieces. Oh, I'm just kidding.
What's funny about that?
And later, Texans battle over an as-is sale of a used car that broke down shortly after it was driven off the lot.
So you know you purchased the car as is.
Yes,
You do know
ma'am.
that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So why do you think you get your money back?
We should have lasted more than one day.
Plaintiff Chuck Mann says he only paid for the vacation because Sarah Jane was his girlfriend at the time. He's suing for money spent for a vacation. Defendant Sarah Jane Pleahall says she doesn't owe because she paid the agreed-upon amount for the trip. She's countersuing for reimbursement for money paid, harassment, and stress.
How did it go from Vegas to Mexico? And I understand there was a breakup, but how are we now at a restraining order?
Your Honor, I would love to answer that. After I asked him to, I'm breaking this up, stop contacting me, I would get emails after emails, texts after texts. One of the emails was 5 pages, singly spaced.
Is that true, sir?
He titled it, The Nightmare That It's Over, or My 7-Month Dream Relationship That Turned into a Nightmare.
Did you do
give you
this?
I'm going to sell an ebook.
Chuck. After she broke up with you, you proceeded to contact her and text her every single day.
No.
Yes, you did. 2 months after the breakup, this is what you write. I'm sorry, but I have to tell you that even after 2 months, I really, really, really miss you and everything about you. I can't wait until the day I get to hear you talk in person and look into your eyes. I think about you every day. Every song on the radio reminds me of you. For example, Is It Too Late to Say Sorry?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
I'm going to tell you something, because you're a nice guy. And there's someone out there for you. But you got to get your game a little tighter. Man up a little bit. Be like, all right, it's cool. It was good times while we had them. But you just don't stop writing. You really think daily emails and daily text messages are going to work? No, you're just pushing her away, because here's what should have happened. She broke up with you. She still has anytime there's a breakup, there's still some feelings there. But you have a window of opportunity if you really want to get them back. So here we are, 2 people. She breaks up with you, she goes this way. What everyone does, what their natural instinct is to do, is to go this way behind them. When in reality, what you really want to do is go here. Pull back a little bit. Because then that's going to, well, wait a minute. Why isn't he calling me and texting me? What's going on? Why haven't I heard from him? You would have heard from her. Play a little hard to get, Chuck. So now we have a restraining order here. It didn't have to come to that, Chuck.
Your Honor, may I add to that restraining order as well, why it came to that conclusion where I needed some help? When we were dating, he would say, if you ever leave me, I'll cut you up in little pieces. Oh, I'm just kidding.
Did you say that to her?
I may have teased about something, but I never...
No, it's not a joke.
No.
Saying you're going to cut somebody into pieces, what's funny about that? What's funny about that? Where's the humor in that at all? And now you're upset because there's a restraining order, so now you want to sue. And I'm telling you.
I was going to sue before that. It's in the restraining order.
But I'm telling you, you don't have a basis for a lawsuit. What this lawsuit is sour grapes because she broke up with you before you wanted their relationship to end. You spent all the money in Mexico, and so now you want it back. And that's not really my opinion. That's what you said. That's what you said in court today. That's not the way these lawsuits work. I'm going to dismiss your counterclaim, ma'am. You agreed that you would pay this $600.
Yeah.
I'm also going to dismiss the $400 you're asking him for harassment and stress. You did the right thing. You got a restraining order.
Yeah.
I'm not going to order him to pay you a monetary amount. I'm assuming he's not been in contact with you since you got the restraining order. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so that has resolved that issue. So your counterclaim is dismissed. You did one thing right, Chuck, when she got the law involved. Then you stopped contacting her because you realized you don't want to lose your liberty over this. And I'm going to tell you, you know what Chris Rock said? You can lose money chasing women, but you'll never lose women chasing money. Get your priorities right, Chuck. Okay. Case dismissed. Good luck.
She told me she didn't want to date and that she was having personal issues. That's totally a lie.
I learned that it's okay to stand up for yourself, and it's okay to say no, and especially when someone's controlling and there's bullies, it's okay to stand up for yourself. You're worth it.
We're always interested in what you have to say about our cases. Write us with your thoughts or comments. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, or my Instagram. I look forward to hearing from you.
Plaintiff Sharon Butler says the defendant sold her a used car that broke down shortly after she drove it off his lot. She's suing for a car refund and related expenses. Defendant Michael Cordell says he doesn't know because Sharon knew she was purchasing a used vehicle from him that was being sold as is.
Sharon Butler,
Correct, Your Honor.
you are suing the defendant Michael Cordell
Yes, Your Honor.
for $2,733. $2,000 of that is a refund for a car you purchased from him.
Correct.
You're asking the court to order him to refund your money, and then the rest are related expenses: oil change, new battery, and starter, and registration and title fees.
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
So tell me what happened. What kind of car did you purchase from the defendant?
I purchased a 2003 Ford Focus.
Is that the car?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you
That's
have
it.
a dealership, sir?
Yes.
You run a dealership in Garland, Texas?
Yes,
Okay,
Your
and how
Honor.
long have you been doing that?
Since the 90s, early 90s.
Okay, so for a long time. And do you
Yes.
only sell used cars?
Yes.
So go ahead, ma'am. Tell me what happened.
I was at work, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go purchase me a car today. No matter what, I'm going to go get me a car, and I'm just going to, I'm not coming back home till I get me a car. And I come across ASAP, and I'm like, oh, that's what I'm looking for. As soon as possible. I need a car as soon as possible.
So that's the name of the dealership?
Yes, ma'am.
So you took that as a sign?
Yes.
You wanted a car ASAP?
Yes.
And that was the name of the dealership, so it must be meant to be?
Yes.
So what happened?
So I went there, and I'm like, okay, me and my friend, I'm checking out cars, so I didn't ask for a key for any of the cars until I come across the Ford Focus.
Okay, so you come out, you see that she wants to purchase, she's looking at cars.
Yes.
Do the two of you negotiate a deal for this car?
After I told him I'm interested in the car, and he asked how much I'm willing to pay, I'm like, $2,000. So he said, okay, let's come in, let's do paperwork.
Were there any other terms? Did he offer to repair anything? Were you taking the car as is? What were the terms of that deal?
He put a battery on there. He said the car started messing up. They went to clean the car up, so when they came back, he had to charge the car.
So you put a new battery in that day?
No, ma'am.
So where's she getting that from?
I can re-explain that a little better, possibly. Once she was in the office and we were doing the paperwork and the deal, my helper went in to clean up the car, take the stickers off the windows and the writing and get it ready for her to take. And when he got back, it wasn't operating properly. So we put a tool on it to check the charging voltage because the way it was acting up, and ended up that it wasn't a bad battery, it was a bad alternator.
Okay, so what did you do?
I sent it down to the repair shop that we use down the street so they could put an alternator in as quick as possible.
So it's a used car, it's a 2003. It has between 70, 80,000 miles on it at this point, right?
77.
Now, did you have anyone check it out before you purchased it, or you just went off of, okay, it sounds good now?
Only thing I did was crank it up. It sounded good. I looked inside,
Yeah.
But, and then I'm like, okay, went inside and did paperwork. And
Okay, so you drive off, and what happens? Why are we here?
I went to the place to get some insurance. Come back out, my sister said she was pointing. And I'm like, what? And she was pointing at the car. The car was smoking.
Coming up on Judge Faith. The as-is used car sale is examined in more detail.
I know you have all your signs up in your office, as is sale, but the car should do what it's supposed to do, at least for a minimal amount of time. It's a safety issue under the law.
Plaintiff Sharon Butler says Michael sold her a used vehicle that was a lemon. She's suing for a car refund and related expenses. Defendant Michael Cordell says he doesn't know because Sharon knew the vehicle was being sold as is.
So the car was smoking, and you take it to a mechanic how many days later?
2 days later.
So 2 days later, you take it to a mechanic, and what does the mechanic tell you about the car?
He told me, you know, the battery sounded like the battery wasn't no good. He didn't check on the alternator then, so it didn't crank up. So he worked on the car at the insurance place for the next day.
Did he ever tell you anything about the alternator?
He said, you need an alternator.
A new alternator?
Mm-hmm. Not an alternator, starter. I'm sorry. It's a starter. It's not an alternator.
A new starter?
Starter, yes.
Not the alternator, but the starter?
Starter.
Do you have any paperwork?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it? So, sir, you sold this car as is?
Yes.
No warranty?
Correct.
Let me see the paperwork.
I also have a picture in my office. All the paperwork. There you go. All right. That states that all vehicles are sold as is and there's no cooling off period. Along with the buyer's guide that she signed explaining that the vehicles are as is.
All vehicles sold as is, no warranty.
Correct.
That's what it says. Is your testimony today that you put a new alternator in the car, sir?
Yeah, the afternoon after or during the purchase.
So you know you purchased the car as is?
Yes,
You do know
ma'am.
that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So why do you think you get your money back?
Well, it should have lasted more than 1 day.
But it's a 2003 car with almost 80,000 miles. So when you're making an as-is sale, what do? You want to do your due diligence. And so you had a mechanic take a look at it, but it was 2 days afterwards. And I know people don't want to do it before they purchase a car, but then you take a risk.
I called him a couple of days and told him, you know what, something's wrong with this car.
Who?
Mr. Michael.
But you already purchased the car as is from him. It's important that you do your due diligence and have someone to look at it, because when you're taking it as is, it's as is. So you're not driving the car at all now?
Not at all.
How are you getting to work?
I'm still finding rides, still asking for rides.
What do you do for a living?
I work as a laundry aide in a nursing home.
Okay, you know what? We're going to take a brief recess.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
All rise. Please be seated.
So I wanted to take a recess so I could call a mechanic myself. Here's what the mechanic told me. The alternator provides power to the car, and the starter is significantly impacted by the power provided from that alternator. And so some of these issues that she's having with the car, they're a direct result of the car having a bad alternator. And I know you have all your signs up in your office and everything, as is sale, no cooling off period, but there's also something else under the law, which is a warranty of merchantability. And that is that when someone purchases an item from you, the car should do what it's supposed to do, at least for a minimal amount of time. It's a safety issue under the law. And the car starts smoking 2 days after she purchased it. You know, and I hold you to a little bit of a higher standard, sir, because this isn't a private sale. This isn't someone who, I had this car for so many years, it's good, it's as is, here you go. You're a dealer.
Understand.
This is what you do. You sell used cars. It was incumbent upon you to check the other parts that are directly impacted by having a bad alternator in the car, and you didn't do it. As a result, she couldn't drive the car for more than 2 days. You could have hooked it up to a diagnostic machine easily. You're a dealer. You have access to that equipment, and you didn't. I'm going to make an exception in this case, and you're very lucky, because you got to do your homework and your due diligence before you make a used car purchase. I don't care if it's from ASAP, dealership, whatever the name of it is. Don't take that as a sign. The only sign you should be taking is that you're spending your money the right way because you've done your due diligence. So I'm going to order the defendant to return the $2,000 refund for the car that's no good. $2,000 judgment in this case for the plaintiff.
Thank you, ma'am. And I know it won't happen again, so I need to be more careful next time when I go out looking for a car.
You know, as a used car, parts go out, all you can do is take care of it.
If you or someone you know has a dispute, don't take the law into your own hands. Let Judge Faith rule on it for you. To submit your case, go to judgefaith.com and tell us your story. See you in court.